Happy Sunday. Hopefully y'all are great out there. Nishal D here. Nishal Speaks. Real deep video that we're going to talk about, regarding family. But before I do, if you notice, I'm out and about, going for a walk. I do this every single day. Every day, whether I'm in the gym or whether I'm outside. A little bit of knowledge. Walking 75 minutes a week, right, can possibly increase your lifespan by 2 years. Walking 45 minutes 3 days a week can help with your cognitive system, your memory, preventing things like Alzheimer's when you're older, dementia, 30 minutes a day, that right there cuts depression down by 32% and reduces obesity. So that being said, get out here and walk. Take care of yourself. Okay, so this is a personal video. I really don't like talking about my family very much. But I feel like for educational purposes, it would help somebody out there who's going through a similar situation than I am. So I had a really long conversation with my mom, and we talked about a lot of stuff. Our history is pretty different than a lot of people's history, and long story short, she was a teenage parent. She could not have me. She could not take care of me, we'll say. And her parents basically told her, you can't keep him. 15-year-old girl, first child, scared, but didn't even really have a chance to try because her parents said, you can't keep him. That caused a lot of problems between the relationship between me and my mom. It caused a lot of heartache between me and my mom. I have siblings who came along a number of years later, and they all lived with my mom. But I lived here in Florida with my grandparents, who are no longer here. So this story is very deep, and it's unnecessary to tell, but I want to more so share the origins of how you raise your family can either be a blessing to you in your later years, or it could be your worst nightmare. Now, my mom's father, which is my grandfather, and this isn't me speaking ill, but this is just the truth, because I know a lot of you out there probably can relate to it. He didn't really spend a lot of quality time with, his kids. He was a workaholic. Not a lot of emotions being shared, not a lot of quality, just no memories, nothing really caring. He was very hard, very, very, very hard, and in some cases, not the nicest when he was, younger, of course, to my mom and her brother and sister. So I remember him growing up, and he just wasn't really nice. He just wasn't pleasant to be around. It always seemed like he was angry, seemed like he was bitter, always talking about people. He just was not really a nice person at all. Hardworking person, yes, but just really not a nice person. And, my grandmother, which was his wife, they were, again, I don't want this to turn into like a bashing fest, because I do love my grandparents. I just dislike some of the things that they've done in the past, but they're kind of seeing that now. But anyway, my grandma was really no different than he was. So, childhood passes, teenage years pass, adulthood, we're all grown now, we got kids, and, they are in their 70s. And my mom told me the other day, she talks to her, parents pretty often, and he told her, my grandfather that is, nobody calls me, nobody visits me. It's almost like nobody cares. And I said, Mom, in the Bible it says, whatsoever a man shall sow, that's what he'll reap. Even if you're not a believer, that is a rule. That is like a foundational law of life. Whatever you sow, that is what you will reap. If you plant grape seeds, you will harvest grape seeds. If you plant oranges, orange trees coming out of the ground. Spinach comes out of the ground. Whatever you put into the soil will make its way to the surface. So when you think about this from a relational standpoint, if you sow seeds of anger, bitterness, selfishness, anything that just basically can push a person away, when you sow those seeds and you put them into the ground and then it comes up out the ground, that is what you will have in front of you. And he doesn't really seem to understand that. My mother's like, well, Dad, you don't call your grandchildren. He has several grandchildren, several great-grandchildren, and he does not call any of them, nor me. And I was his first grandchild. So, and the confusion that he has is, to me, it makes perfect sense. It's like, well, you did, this is the choice that you made when we were younger. This is the choice that you made as we grew older. And this is the harvest in which you are going to have to gather, because these are the seeds that you planted for decade after decade after decade. Now, some of you may be like, well, isn't that kind of harsh? It's not harsh. It's the truth. Think about this for a second. If you had children and you were always mean to your kids and you never spoke life into them, you never spent time with them, you never did anything for them, you never supported them, you just were not a good person. Just because you're old, just because you get old, does that mean that they're just going to come flocking around you? That they're just going to call you? That they're just going to be? No, because you did not sow seeds of love. You didn't sow seeds of happiness. You did not create memories. You did not pave the foundation for a loving pathway. You did not consider yourself to be a safe space. So we're not just going to come around just because you're old now, Now, we do love, but there's a such thing as loving from a distance. So, as a man, I told my mom, You know, my focus is my family, my children, my wife. They are my focus. And it is my job, my duty, my mission to do everything the opposite of what I experienced growing up. The opposite. My kids feel loved, appreciated. We celebrate them. We championize them for their success and their accomplishments. We love our children. And we don't just say that we love them, we show them that we love them. My grandfather never told me, that he loved me. I don't ever recall hearing that. But at the same time, I'm not going to hold it against them either. I do realize they're at the end of their life, and I want to be the bigger person and give them their time with their great grandkids, give them their time with me, because they don't have a lot of time left. See, forgiveness is essential. And if you're somebody out there who's wanting to break a curse, you're going to have to forgive. You're going to have to let some things go. You're going to have to take the high road. You're going to have to just say, hey, I know that I know that this was done to me. I know that you said this. I know my experience was that. But you're going to have to let it go. We always talk about breaking generational curses, but we hear all of these steps that people need to take to be able to do it. But one thing I never really hear too much of is forgiveness. Forgiveness is the hardest thing that a person can do, because we live in a world where people are like, an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. I'll never forget what you did to me. But I have to say, what does unforgiveness really do for us? Nothing. It just makes you sick. It ages you. It's bad. It's not good for your health. And it's not a way to break a curse. You can't break a curse with anger. You can't break a curse by holding grudges. You can't break a curse with evil. You can only break a curse with love and forgiveness. If there's darkness, you have to shine light. If there's wickedness, you have to be purity. Otherwise, the curse will stand, and you will carry the curse far into your life, and you will give it to your offspring. So if you're trying to break a generational curse, you got to start with forgiveness. It's a hard lesson. It's a hard pill. But you have to start with forgiveness. Because if you can't do that, forget it. And you have to make that choice. You got to analyze what you went through, because some people they've been through a lot. They've been through hard times. And I believe everyone has a crossroad to where you realize that your upbringing was bad and rough, and you have a choice. You can either sit in anger and bitterness and pass it down, or you can stop, look in the mirror, and say, I want better. I want better for myself. I want better for my kids. I want better for my great-grandkids, the far down the line, the bloodline. It's got to start with somebody. My mother is doing all that she can to try to break it on her end. And I told her that I'm doing the same on my end. I'm trying to do my best to break it as well. Some people never get loose from this, folks. And I've seen broken families, broken lives, to where people just don't think they can do any better, who just don't think they can go any further, who think that this is all that there is and there will not be any more. But if that is the mindset that you're going to have, that's all you will get. That's all you'll ever be. And that curse, that nasty, dirty, wicked curse will follow you. You will be miserable. You'll die alone. I don't believe anybody should do that. That's horrible. But you got a choice. You don't have to harvest it. You ain't got to hold it in. Break it. Break it. Break it. I want to encourage you. Break it. I know your mother may have said some things to you that made you upset, but forgive her and do the opposite and speak life into your children. I know your father, maybe he left and you didn't really get an opportunity to know him. Forgive him and you be there for your children. You do better. Every generation is supposed to be better than the previous. Not worse, but better. We're not supposed to emulate the past unless it's a lesson that is going to benefit a current generation. That's really the only time that you would emulate the past. I've made my choice. I'm choosing to do better. I'm choosing to go further. My kids will emulate that and they will carry on. They'll carry on my name far into the future. They'll carry on loving each other, caring for each other, supporting each other, helping each other. Because some of you, I hear these stories, I hear and you say, my family doesn't care about me. I hear these stories. You say, my family don't love me. Family don't care about me. Nobody checks on me. And look, man, that's pain. I get it. That's pain. That hurts. I get it. But you don't have to harvest it. You don't have to carry it. You ain't got to live with it. You could do better. You could be better. Get around loving people. The type of person that you want to be, get around those people. Learn from those people. Some of you like, but Nichelle, my folks, they never taught me nothing. I don't know. They never taught me nothing. My uncle expressed his anger recently. His parents, which are my mom's parents, they did everything you could imagine for that man. They did everything for him as a boy. They bought him cars, materialistic possessions, everything to the house that he dwells in. And we're talking about somebody who shows no appreciation at all. and has nothing but rage and anger and has displayed that. And his parents are like, why is our son so mean? Why does he act like this? We've done everything for him. We've done everything you could imagine. Why? Well, let me tell you this. My uncle said, you know, I never asked for any of that stuff. I didn't ask for all those cars. I didn't ask for this house. I didn't ask for none of this. I wanted my dad. He said, I wanted my dad. I wanted to go fishing, but he didn't take me because he had to work. I wanted to spend time, but he was always too busy. He would come home tired, mad, short patience. Didn't show any love. My uncle felt that pain, and he harvested it and projected it as he saw fit. Now, I don't agree at all with disrespecting your parents, especially if they are helping you through life. You should be grateful because a lot of people don't have that. But I do understand that a lot of people do lash out in trauma. And he just unfortunately have never gotten therapy for it. But my point is, you can't buy certain things. You have to give your heart. You have to give your time. You have to give your effort. You have to give your attention. You have to give meaningful things to your children if you don't want them to rebel and if you don't want them to end up hurt and broken. The stories of broken people are stories that deserve to be heard. The stories of broken people from different backgrounds, a lot of it has to do with neglect and a lack of love. Because the formula is that you should be loved by your mom and your dad, taught life lessons, and when your parents get older, you will want to be around them because of everything they've done for you, because of all of the memories they've created with you, because of all of the time they spent with you. You're gonna want to be there because that's how me and my wife, we try to take our kids on vacation every year so we can create memories. We take videos, we take pictures. We don't have a lot, but I tell you what I got a lot of. I got a lot of love and attention. Because looking at the mistake of my grandparents, as far as what they did with my uncle, buying him everything he wanted, backfired big time. Can't buy love, folks. I'm in the video. We're almost at like 25 minutes, so hopefully this encouraged somebody out there watching. I don't want you to hold on to unforgiveness. I want you to break those curses. Because if I can break them, so can you. God bless y'all. Hey, if you feel this, do me a favor. Share it. Share it. Like the video. Comment. If you made it to the end, I appreciate your support so much. If you're new, subscribe. Peace.